Hello everyone. I'm going to be reading to you Santa is Coming to Alabama by Stephen Smallman. To Patsy Chambers for being good. Merry Christmas from Santa. Wow. Well, boomed Santa, have all the children from Alabama been good this year? Well, mostly, answered the little old elf as he bundled across the busy workshop into Santa's desk. Santa peered down at the elf from behind the tall, teetering pile of letters that the children of Alabama had sent him. Mostly? Asked Santa, looking over the top of his glasses. Yes, but they've all been especially good the last few days, said the elf. Jolly good, crackled Santa. Then we'd better get those presents loaded up. Even though the sack of the presents was really big, and the elves were really small, they seemed to have no trouble loading it onto Santa's sleigh. They had managed to lift such a big sack into a small sleigh, and they really didn't know how, but somehow they did. Splendid, boomed Santa. We're ready to go. Not quite, Santa, said the little old elf. One of our reindeer is missing. Missing? Which reindeer is missing? Asked Santa. The youngest one, Santa, said the elf. It's his first flight tonight. I've called him, but just then a young reindeer strolled up, munching on a large carrot. Where have you been? Asked Santa. But the youngest reindeer was crunching so loudly that there was no wonder that he hadn't heard the little old elf calling. Oh, well, never mind, said Santa, giving the reindeer a little wink. He took out the Santa nav and tapped in his coordinates for Alabama. This will get us to Alabama in no time. Crunch, 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 went the reindeer. With a flick of the reins and a jerk of the harness, off they went, racing through the sky. Ho, 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 Santa laughed. We'll soon have the presents delivered to the heart of Dixie. Santa's sleigh flew through the starry night, heading south across the Atlantic Ocean. And on they flew in the crisp, wintry air, crossing over Canada. In the wink of an eye, the sleigh was flying over Ohio and over the Great Smoky Mountains. The youngest reindeer was very excited. He had never been away from the North Pole before. We were just near the Coosa Valley when suddenly they ran into a thick fog. Mist swirled around the sleigh. They couldn't see a thing. The youngest reindeer was getting a bit worried, but Santa didn't seem concerned at all. In 2 miles, the Santa nav, in a bossy lady voice, said, keep left at the next star. But ma'am, Santa blurted, I can't see any stars in all this fog. Soon they were hopelessly lost. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. Then, through the foggy blanket, the youngest reindeer heard the faint ringing sound. Ding dong, ding dong. He looked over at the old deer with the red nose, but his head was down. I wonder who that could be. Ding dong, ding dong. There was the sound again, like church bells ringing. The youngest deer turned and looked at Santa. But Santa wasn't listening. He seemed to be arguing with a little box with the buttons on it. With a flick of the harness and a jerk of the reins, the youngest reindeer gave a sharp tug and headed off toward the sound of the bells, pushing Santa and his sleigh behind him. "Whoa!" cried Santa, pulling his hat straight. "What's going on?" Then, to his surprise, he heard the ringing sound too. "Well done, young reindeer," he shouted carefully. "It must be St. John's Episcopal Church. Don't worry, children, Santa is coming." Then suddenly, crunch! The sleigh hit something as it plummeted through the fog. "You have arrived," said the Santa Nav unhelpfully. Finally, the fog had lifted. Santa discovered exactly where they were, stuck right on the very top of the Montgomery State Capitol. "Everybody pull!" The reindeer pulled with all their might until at last, with a screeching noise, the sleigh scraped clear of the dome and Santa steered them safely past the Sentinel Hill, over Highland Avenue, and down into Oak Park. Luckily, there was no real damage done, but the packages had all been jumbled up. Santa quickly sorted the packages and the presents into order again. "All right," said Santa. "Thanks to this young reindeer, I know where we are now. Don't worry, children, Santa is coming." There's our picture. Santa drove his sleigh expertly from the rooftop to rooftop all over Alabama, popping in and out of chimneys as fast as he could go, which was pretty fast for a chubby little fella. Says there was a big chimney in Tuscaloosa and a small chimney in Anniston. He squeezed down the chimney in Auburn, too, and plummeted down fat chimneys in Birmingham. The youngest reindeer was amazed at how quickly they went. Santa never seemed to get tired at all, and it looked like the children in Alabama were going to be very lucky this year. But the youngest reindeer was starting to feel a bit weary and quite hungry too. Here's a picture. In house after house, Santa delivered and delved inside his pack for packages of every shape and size. He piled them under the Christmas trees and carefully filled up stockings with surprises. In house after house, the good children of Alabama had left out a plate of cookies and a small glass of milk and a big, crunchy carrot. Santa took a bite out of each cookie, a tiny sip of milk, and wiped his beard and popped the carrot into his sack. From Huntsville to Prattville, from Dothan to Decatur, from Madison to Mobile, and all over places in between, Santa and his sleigh visited every house in Alabama. Santa delivered presents to Andrew and Allison, Anna and Arabella, Archie, Ashley, and the list went on and on, to Zach and Zara and Zeb and Zoe and Zelba. Zelba? That must be a spelling mistake, surely. Finally, Santa had delivered the last presents on his long Alabama list. "Great moons and stars," sighed Santa. "It's past midnight, and my stocking seems as heavy as ever. I hope I haven't forgotten anyone." Santa opened his sack to check, but it was full of juicy, crunchy carrots. Santa delivered the carrots among all the reindeer. "Well done," he said, patting the youngest reindeer gently on the nose. But the youngest reindeer didn't hear him. He was too busy munching. Then it was time to set off for home. Santa reset his Santa nav once more for the North Pole, and soon they were speeding above Talladega Speedway, over Noccalula Falls, and Cathedral Caverns State Park. "Ho, ho, ho," laughed Santa. "Merry Christmas, Alabama." And I know I've been a good girl this year, and I live in Fort Payne, Alabama. So, see you later, Santa. Hope you liked my story.